Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. Guys, I'm just going to get straight to the point. I do not like anime. And what I mean by anime, I'm talking about modern anime. Today's anime. The anime that they're bringing out in recent times. I'm not a fan of the Maui look. I'm not a fan of fan service being shoved in your face and unneeded fan service. I'm sick and tired of the same animation style over and over and over again. I hate how today's anime is so safe. Like, you barely see any blood or disfigurements or anything brutal in today's anime. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, oh no, Freaky. There are anime that has blood and has disfigurements and violence. Wait, hold on. Let me finish. I hate how today's anime is always talking down to us instead of talking to us. Today's anime, it always seems to be teaching us and telling us how to react and how to behave, and telling us this is how things are done, this is how you're supposed to react, this is how you're supposed to behave. And I hate the fact that everything just ends up in a nice little bow, where everything is just perfect in the end when it comes to a story. You know, tying up loose ends, we can all be friends at the end of the day, let's forgive and forget. And I'm sick and tired that anime always takes place in high school. And I'm telling you, it's always in high school. And there's no complications or makes you think of anything. It's always a crystal clear right and wrong when it comes to anime. And yeah, don't get me wrong, the old anime did this too, you know, having a crystal clear right and wrong. But it wasn't always like this. There were times in anime and manga where you would follow the main protagonist, but sometimes you would actually sympathize with the protagonist's enemy because the protagonist actually screwed over the antagonist, like in the manga of Rurouni Kenshin in the manga, when he was facing off against his brother-in-law. And also, there's the censorship that we have these days. I mean, back in the day, you could basically do whatever the hell you want. But now that anime is more mainstream, everything has to be safe. Everything's got to be a certain way. Anime has to follow certain guidelines. There are certain things in the manga that they wouldn't be able to show on TV. Anime these days, again, has the same animation style, and it's also clean. Like the characters, the backgrounds, everything seems to be more cleaner. Everything just seems too stiff. It's teaching us lessons like, oh, we need to be more open-minded, or, oh, you shouldn't be racist. Like in that movie, Japan Sinks. Now listen, don't get me wrong. If they want to put a message in an anime saying, oh, don't do this, don't do that, we need to be more understanding, and all that stuff in order to make the audience feel better. I mean, sometimes that's okay. But the thing is, in real life, that doesn't happen. Like I said, these sort of things that they put in anime, you know, trying to teach us lessons like, oh, you shouldn't do this, oh, don't worry about that. It doesn't feel natural when it comes to anime teaching people stuff. It almost feels these days that anime is talking down to us instead of talking to us. These days, anime seems to be more nice, and characters are misunderstood, and we need to understand them. You know what? Yeah, sometimes I'm okay with something like that if it's in a kitty anime. The thing is, I don't actually mind cutesy moe anime like Squid Girl or Lucky Star, and I am okay with fanservice-y anime as long as it doesn't include high school girls. I mean, can we have more adult, somewhere between 20 and 50 years old, please, when it comes to fanservice, please? Anyways, there are quite a few comedy anime that I love. There's Fruits Basket, the first one. Okay. I'll just get straight to the point. I really don't like today's anime for all those reasons I just said. Again, don't get me wrong, I do like some anime, some of the anime that I said that I don't like Dragon Maid. I think that's cute. I don't mind the one or two anime that's adorable, but that's only if I want to have something on that'll get me out of a rut. Now, I know what some people are going to say. They're going to say, okay, Freaky, you've said that you don't like any of the stuff that you said earlier on in the video. If you don't like any of the stuff that's in anime, then why are you bringing this all up? And how are you an anime fan if you don't like all these things that's in today's anime? Well, the thing is, back in the day, I was a huge cartoon-holic. I absolutely loved watching cartoons. There was Scooby-Doo, there was Yogi Bear, there was Arthur, there was Thundercats, there was Count Duckula, there was Danger Mouse. I would basically watch any cartoon that was on. And then, when we got cable and I found Cartoon Network, I would watch cartoons whenever I could. There was Cow and Chicken, there was the Looney Tunes, there was Hong Kong Phooey, Scooby-Doo. There was all sorts of cartoons on Cartoon Network. Two Stupid Dogs, I Am Weasel, Johnny Bravo, the Powerpuff Girls. And there was all sorts of cartoons, not just on Cartoon Network, but on other channels as well. There was Nickelodeon, there was Boomerang, I think there was Disney. And even if I wasn't watching cable, there was also cartoons on the standard channels like BBC One, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on Saturdays, they would have SMTV Live. Like, there was all sorts of cartoons back in the day, even better than the cartoons that we have today. And as the years went on, I noticed there was more cartoons that was pushed towards teens. There was Teen Titans Go, there was E-Man and the Master of the Universe, there was Samurai Jack, you know, all that sort of stuff. I really loved cartoons back in the day. But then one day, I came across something I didn't know was called anime. And that was a little anime called Pokemon. Yeah, I was a huge Pokemon holic. I mean, it was absolutely mental back in the day when Pokemon first started coming out. I mean, I got the games, I was collecting the cards, I've got the movies. It was just a grand OCO great time. And not only that, there was also other anime like Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was a pretty good fun game. I watched the anime and then I started collecting the cards. The first series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was fantastic, but I lost interest in GX. There was Cardcaptor. The opening to Cardcaptor was awesome, and there was all sorts of anime that was for kids. I mean, there was some anime that I knew about. There was Shaman King, there was Digimon, there was Sailor Moon, but those sort of anime didn't really click with me. There was also that show Metabots, and I think there was a Mega Man show. So yeah, I did watch a mixture between anime and cartoons, even though I didn't know it was anime at the time. And there was some shows that clicked with me, and there was some shows that didn't click with me. There was also One Piece, but I couldn't really get into that, because I just thought it was weird. There was also Naruto, which at the time I couldn't get into, because most of the time I would just watch Dragon Ball Z. But yeah, One Piece and Naruto came along a few years later, and on Toonami, we had other anime like Cowboy Bebop, Tenchi Muyo, Gundam Wing. Gundam Wing was one of those series that was a show where I went on and off. I couldn't really understand what the hell was going on. So yeah, I did watch it, but it was just more of a on and off sort of thing. I watched Tenchi Muyo. I mean, I just love the opening to that. There was Outlaw Star. There was Big O, which was awesome. Great time. And also of anime ran with cartoons like The Justice League, Static Shock, Samurai Jack, Teen Titans, X-Men Evolution, He-Man and the Master of the Universe, and Batman Beyond. I mean, all those series were awesome. I could go on ages and ages saying how awesome all these series was. Especially Dragon Ball Z. I was a huge fan of Pokemon, but I solely drifted to Dragon Ball Z from Pokemon. Because, come on, Dragon Ball Z is freaking cool. I mean, guys blowing each other up, the fighting, explosions, it was just freaking awesome. But also during that time, I came across my very first adult anime that I knew wasn't for kids. It must have been around like 12 to 13. I can't exactly remember when, but somewhere around the early 2000s, when my mum and dad was out and it was around midnight, I came across an anime, which I didn't know at the time it was an anime. I found an anime called Tokyo Revelations on Sci-Fi, and this anime wasn't like anything I ever seen. There was blood, there was animals dying, there was demons, there was human sacrifices. I mean, it completely and utterly blew my mind. I don't know which one came first, but it was somewhere around the early 2000s that I found out about adult anime. And I'm not talking about that old hentai thing, but I'm talking about anime that was for adults. Again, like Tokyo Revelations. And it was unlike anything like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dragon Ball Z. It was completely different to what I've ever seen, because usually you wouldn't see blood everywhere, you wouldn't see people swearing. And what Tokyo Revelations gave me was everything that I wasn't supposed to see as a kid. Well, a teenager. And you know what? I absolutely loved it. And then the week after that, I saw Violence Jack. And oh my days. I mean, Violence Jack was like a nuclear explosion compared to Tokyo Revelations. Tokyo Revelations was like an hand grenade in comparison. The swearing, the gore, the violence, and other things. It was just absolutely mental. And as the years went on, I would always look forward to anime on Sci-Fi. And there was all sorts of anime on Sci-Fi on Saturday. There was Bubblegum Crash / Crisis, which is one of my favourite cyberpunk anime. There was the movie Ghost in the Shell, which was freaking awesome. There was Akira. There was Blackjack, there was Gigolo 13, there was Legend of the Overfiend. Yeah, that was on Sci-Fi. I mean, there was so many anime on Sci-Fi. Like, so many of them. From the 80s to the 90s, different styles. And you wanna know something? These are the sort of anime that makes you feel like an adult. Like, these anime didn't hold anything back. And you know what? The anime from the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, well, mostly the 90s and 80s, all those anime were cool. And that is something that today's anime doesn't have. They don't have that adult feel to them. I mean, where's all the cyberpunk gone? Whatever happened to that freestyle hand-drawn animation gone? Because I'm telling you guys, the hard work that artists put into the animation was pretty goddamn impressive. And when the 90s came around, they only ever put in a little bit of CGI in their movies, like Ghost in the Shell. I mean, come on. Ghost in the Shell was so freaking awesome. And you know what? Even though the majority of the time anime was weird, anime was also cool. The giant robot fights, the gore, the violence, people using guns, people getting killed. Hell, the original Dragon Ball series is a lot more butch than Dragon Ball Super, if you were to compare Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Super. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I do love the noughties to halfway through the onesies. And in my opinion, I think it was the 2000s that started making anime go a little bit more mainstream. And we started having more categories. And today, anime has to follow very strict guidelines. And today, anime is more corporate these days. We barely see anything like we did in the 90s and 80s. Blood, gore, violence, beautiful animation, cool fights. Everything in the 80s and 90s was like the Wild Wild West, where there wasn't any strict rules. It was almost like you could do absolutely anything. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I do love the noughties. There was Romeo and Juliet, there was The Count of Monte Cristo, Gurren Lagann, Ergo Proxy, Death Note of course, and my personal favourite, Monster, When They Cry. I mean, I just absolutely loved anime during the noughties. From the 80s, the 90s to the noughties, and halfway through the onesies. That to me was the golden age of anime. But like I said, these days anime has gotten more corporate and they have to follow strict guidelines. And there doesn't seem to be any thought going into these anime and manga. These days it just seems more nice, cute anime that sometimes brings out an edgy anime sometimes. And they all have the same animation style. Yeah, all anime looks the same to me. I mean, at least during the 80s, 90s and the noughties, each anime had its own unique style. And the characters, at the very least, looked grown up, or at least was adults, or at the very least was coming of age. But anime these days, it's always kids to teenagers when it comes to the characters. And a character is always, if not most of the time, the nice guy. Well, let me explain something. When it comes to anime or characters in general, these days, they always try to make the characters, or at the very least, the main character, to be the nice, good guy, where he can't do anything wrong, and everything that he does is justified in his actions. And you know, they can't make him look like the bad guy, and they're always trying to make the main character take the high ground and not be at the same level as the person that antagonized him. Like for example, the Shield Hero. In that series, there's a character called Melty, and he has made the Shield Hero life a living hell. And in a manga or novel, he wanted her to be executed, but it was Melty's mother who tried to reason with him and not have her executed. But when it comes to the anime, he was completely the opposite. In fact, he was the one who actually saved her from being executed. And he says, okay, she's going to be renamed bitch, and stuff like that. I don't know, I haven't read or watched the anime. I've only ever seen it from clips and from what I've heard from other people. And that's the thing. These days, anime characters, or particularly the main character, can't be seen as the bad guy, or they can't be shown to be on the same level as the person that antagonized them. And the reason why they do this to characters in anime is because when it comes to kids or teenagers, they are very impressionable. So they want the characters to be somewhat righteous, and they can't kill people, and they shouldn't stoop to their enemies' level. It's almost like these companies are trying to imprint the characters' identities onto kids and have them be like, you see, you can be just like this character if you be like him. Don't fall at the same level as your enemy. Be righteous. Be the bigger man or woman. To me, it just feels like that. And listen, I know some anime today isn't like that. There are exceptions. But to me, from what I've seen in mostly anime, it's almost like every character has to be the same. And the reason for that is because when kids or teenagers watch anime, they are very impressionable. And they will copy anybody, you know, like the dad or a brother or sister or mother. And I think that's the reason why they have to make the character or main character as bland as they can and have them do good morals. And yeah, sure, don't get me wrong, the main character or character will get angry and they'll mess up and they'll make mistakes. But most of the time, the main character will learn from his mistake and he'll learn his lesson. And for the kids and teenagers who is watching this, they will think to themselves, you know what, I'm going to follow this main character's example. If I make a mistake, I'm going to learn from my mistake. Again, kids are very impressionable, and that is why main characters of anime is either naive, stupid, or a kid, so that way kids will relate to them. I mean, come on, look at Goku from Dragon Ball Super. In Dragon Ball Z, he was naive, but in Dragon Ball Super, they made him stupid, like kid stupid. And I think that's one of the reasons why they made Goku this way, because kids are naive and stupid. I mean, if they wanted somebody for kids to relate to, why didn't they bring in characters like Goten, or even Trunks? So all the silly, naive things that he does would be relatable to the kids in the audience. I mean, come on, they did it with Dragon Ball Z with Gohan, and Goten and Trunks would have been perfect for Dragon Ball Super. I mean, they are the sons of Goku and Vegeta. They would have been perfect for the job, but instead, Goku has to be dumbed down, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's have a look at another example. Let's have a look at 2003 and Brotherhood of Full Metal Alchemist. Now, just to save you guys some time, I did make an hour-long video about as to why I like 2003 Full Metal Alchemist that I did with Brotherhood. So if you guys want to go and check out that video, please do. But to summarize things, the reason why I preferred 2003 is because 2003 actually treated you like an adult. It didn't talk down to you, and not everything always ended up in a nice little bow. In fact, the ending was chaos in 2003. The storyline with Yu's, with Nina, and the storyline with Roy and Winry. I mean, those storylines were absolutely superb. 2003 was more deeper and darker, while Brotherhood had this feel of, you see, everything turned out a-okay. Bad people got the karma that was coming to them, everybody is back together, and they have their happily ever after. And even though that's all well and good, I prefer 2003 is because of its chaos. Because not everything is going to go your way. You're going to have regrets, and you're going to do things that you're going to regret and you cannot take back, and you have to live with those mistakes. Life isn't all rainbows and sunshine. Life is dark and hard, and you have to make do and make the best of what you've got. And that's what I took away from 2003. Just make the best of what you've got. Life isn't always going to go your way, and you're not going to have that perfect ending that you've always wanted, like in Brotherhood. And yeah, sure, don't get me wrong, it's nice to have that happy ending, but sometimes, if not most of the time, it doesn't end well in real life. And that is why I appreciate 2003 more. You're not going to get that perfect ending, but whatever you got at the end of the tunnel, appreciate what you've got. You know, it's something like that. Okay, let me give you guys a few more examples. Let's have a look at Bardock from Dragon Ball Z. Bardock, the father of Goku. Now, there is a huge difference between the Bardock special and the Bardock from the Broly movie. And from the Bardock special, Bardock was a bastard. Bardock loved his job. He didn't feel any remorse when he was killing people. He was such an awesome character. But in Dragon Ball Super Broly, they make Bardock more remorseful. Like, I don't know why I'm protecting my son. Maybe it's because I want to save something instead of destroying things. I mean, when it came to the Bardock special, Bardock was just disappointed in his son for having such a small power level. And you know what? I love this version of Bardock. In Broly, they made him more soft and more, oh, I'm going to redeem myself sort of way. And I know the reason why they did this to Bardock. I mean, you can be the main character and do bad things. You can be the main character and be selfish. You can be the main character and kill people. You can be the main character and be an adult. Not a kid, not a teenager, but an adult. You know what, I'll just mention a few. Some good anime that revolves around adults. There's the series Monster, there's Cowboy Bebop, there's Moribito, there's Fate Zero, there's Bokuno, there's Paranoia Agent, there's Elsing, there's Kentaro, there's Basilisk, there's Black Lagoon, there's Berserk, there's Tiger and Bunny, and there's loads of anime like that revolves around adults. And there are characters that are the main characters, and they're not bland high school kids that has to learn from their mistakes. Let me give you an example of what I'm trying to say. There's Revi from Black Lagoon, there's Light Yagami from Death Note, there's Guts from Berserk, there's the Count from the Count of Monte Cristo. It's those sort of characters that I like. As long as the series doesn't try to make any of these characters sympathetic, or the series is trying to say, yeah, you have to root for this character, then I'm 100% fine for characters being assholes. I'll give you an example of what I'm trying to say. There's Lelouch from Code Geass. I absolutely despise this series and this character. Now, you would have thought that this is the sort of character that I would like. And back in the day, everyone was saying, oh, Lelouch is so complex and so deep. Lelouch is one of the greatest characters ever. And no, he isn't. The series tries really, really hard for us to make us feel sorry for him. And it emotionally manipulates us into trying to like him. And that's exactly what I mean. When a series forces its stupid ideas and tries us to manipulate us into liking the main character, even when he has done bad things, or when he has stupid ideas. That's what I don't like. The point is, nobody is perfect. You're not going to have a redemption arc for everybody. The main character could do something bad and not reflect on his actions. The main bad guy or the villain might not be defeated. There could be things that the main character could do that you don't like. There could be things that the main villain could do that you like. Or he does something that you like. Or the main villain is more relatable to you, but he's killed in the end. Or a character could have killed somebody, and they don't get the karma that's rightfully put on them. Like, oh, I killed somebody. I regret it, but nothing happens to them. I mean, you could be a racist and be the main character and not see the errors of your ways. Like, let's just say, for example, there was a main character that was really, really racist. But despite that, this person who is a racist was also a really good person, like helping out charities, helping people, saving people, and was doing a lot of good deeds. Now, some of you are thinking, what were you talking about? Racists aren't good people. No, I'm just giving an example of what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, there is no crystal clear right and wrong in real life. I remember a time when anime was all over the place. We had space operas, giant robots, people using guns, and there was cool explosions and robots and everything. And I want you guys to go and check out the older anime series, anime movies from the late 70s all the way to the mid onesies, which was the year 2010s. To me, those were the peak of awesome when it came to anime. And even though the onesies was the beginning of the downfall of anime, there was still a few anime that I did love in the onesies. You know what? I'm going to stick to the classics. And if an anime or series that I like is either going to be rebooted, or there's going to be a sequel or a prequel, depending on what it is, I will 100% watch it. Again, it depends on what's in it. Like for example, Trigun. I mean, I love the series Trigun. It's one of the greatest anime series ever, and I highly recommend it. And guess what? They're going to have a remake of the series or a reboot or something. And I think they're going to follow the manga strictly, so that'll be awesome to see. But sometimes that's not always the case. They also remade Fullmetal Alchemist and called it Brotherhood. And even though I do like that series, I still love the 2003 one better. So who knows, even though Trigun is going to have a remake, I'll still give it a chance. Or there's the series Soul Eater. Even though I do like that series, I didn't watch it prequel simply because it looks so moe, and they were all high school girls. I am so sick and tired of high school girls. I'm sick and tired of today's animation. I'm sick and tired of the same style. I'm sick and tired of the main character being bland. You know what? I've accepted that. Even though things have to continue moving forward and there's going to be new anime out there, for me, I'm going to stick to the classics. Before 2015. The anime before then is never going to was the peak of awesomeness when it came to anime. But don't get me wrong, there will be one or two surprises when it comes to new anime with different animations, different locations, different characters. And you know what? Those are the sort of anime that I'm going to be looking forward to watching. And I know there's going to be some people out there who's going to disagree with me and say, oh no, Geek Freak, you've got to go and check out this anime, or you got to go and check out that anime. Today's anime is so freaking awesome and cool. Well, let me ask you guys something. Did you guys ever go and check out the old anime? Because if you haven't, I highly recommend you go and check out anime from its beginning, either or from the late 70s, 80s, 90s, the noughties, and the early onesies. You'll be surprised how freaking awesome the anime is, or was back then. Today's anime cannot compare to what there was back in the day. And if you guys want me to give you a list of anime to go and check out, like the old stuff, I will gladly do so. In fact, I'm going to do my top 100 anime series and movies, and most of them are classics. I've already done 100 greatest cartoons, so if you guys want to go and check that out, please do. And these anime will be the best of the best to me. It might take me a while to make this list, so we'll have to wait and see. And listen, anime these days isn't my cup of tea. When I got into anime, it was just freaking awesome and cool. Hell, GT is more butch than Dragon Ball Super. So if you guys want to continue watching the new stuff, then go right ahead. I'm not going to judge you. As for me, I'm going to stick with the classics. And also, there are a few classic anime that I haven't seen yet. I'm going to stick with the Golden Age anime. I resonate more with the old stuff. Although, saying that, I do like cutesy anime sometimes. Sometimes. And the reason for that is because sometimes you need to take a break from life. And you just want to see some cutesy, laid back, fun anime. I'm okay with moe anime sometimes. You know, no drama, no death, no things that make you think. I really do like cute things, like Dragon Maid, or Lucky Star, Squid Girl, you know, that sort of stuff. But come on, can we have more adults in anime? Something like Monster? And can we have adult women in fanservice-y, ecchi situations? And can we have, like, a different location instead of being in school all the time? Can we go back to, like, space operas, please? Can we bring back the cyberpunk with cool robots and cool music with blood and violence? Because that would be nice. So yeah, I just wanted to say this and say what I wanted to say. To me, anime isn't what it used to be. It isn't as cool as the older anime that I watched. But hey, I'm open to watching something new, but not as frequent as I used to. So yeah, there you go. So what do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Do you like anime? Do you like old or new anime? Please let me know in the comment section below, and let's get a discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.